Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of the OS Talk. Today is August 2nd and we're going to be going over another Catch the Beat video. We are doing a discussion on Catch the Beat and we have a very large roster of well-known CtB players as our guests, and we'll introduce them as we go. We have Magic Bomb with us. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Alright. We also have King Kevin 30. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
We're also joined by Seki or Sakai, one of the two. I apologize if I got your name wrong.
It's alright, it's Saki.
Alright, and how are you?
Doing great.
Alright, and then we've got Yuki Kazuto.
Hello, people.
And last but not least, we also have Zach with us today.
Hello.
Alright, and our co-host with the most, Deadbeat, is also with us. How you doing?
Rip Dragon Bomb.
Yeah, Rip Dragon Bomb indeed. Alright guys, so we're going to start this discussion out. The first thing I want to actually talk about is why you guys chose CtB as your main game mode instead of any of the other game modes, and if you've ever thought of switching it. So we'll just jump right into that. Whoever wants to take that answer first, feel free.
Sure. Alright, so basically the reason I chose Catch the Beat instead of any of the other ones is because my computer can't do any of the other ones. Tycho and Mania lag way too much for my computer, and OSU Standard, I'm using a laptop touchpad, which is not recommended at all for Standard, and I'm never switching.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of a few instances where people were actually playing with the touchpad, but I don't think they actually got very far.
MTMCL is God on a touchpad.
Wait, he uses the touchpad?
Yeah, that's why his maps are so weird, man.
I
like his maps.
At one point I used a touchpad for laptop when I first started. Most in general, I started with standard. And then I got bored and I switched to Catch the Beat, and that really caught my eye, so Catch the Beat, but I still play Tycho. I haven't tried Mania yet.
So, Yuki, quick question there for you. What kind of setup do you have?
So basically, I actually still have the default. Nothing else seems to work for me on this laptop. I use the arrow keys and the left shift. Works perfectly.
I see. And you get the solid 60 frames a second on your machine?
Not all the time, but I learned to work around the lag.
Ah. Alright. So would you say that, like, one of the main things is hardware limitations for why some of you guys actually stuck with it, or is it just the game mode itself?
Mostly, I'd say it's hardware limitations for the most part, because CtB, it's not the game mode itself, because anyone can really pick up CtB if they have the patience for it, because trust me, CtB is about patience. But it just seems to be hardware sometimes.
Yeah, like for me, if I actually had a normal mouse when I first started playing, I probably wouldn't have played Catch the Beat in the first place. So
Same.
Now, go ahead, Kevin.
Seems like I'm the only one who really choose to play CtB. Like even in the beginning when I just had like a shitty $200 netbook or whatsoever, I just played for all the modes, and
Wait
after a while,
you could run OS on a netbook?
yeah, on a netbook.
How?
Not a notebook.
How? Those things are bad.
Yeah,
Like,
no man.
I remember, this was a long time ago, we went to an OS meetup, a couple friends of mine, iMuffin and Neko Roll, and we were in Texas, and we didn't actually have any computers with us, but we wanted to, like, talk to people, let them know that we had met each other safely, and we were going to Six Flags the next day. And she brought a netbook down, and she's like, you could try to play OS on it. And this thing seriously couldn't get over 30 FPS, so I'm baffled. You must have had, like, the best netbook ever.
I have not heard those names in a long time.
Like, dude, you can't imagine how much fun I had playing Paramax 3 times in a row and it didn't submit 2 times. Like, I was like, oh yeah, 30 minutes, I finally got it. Wait, please submit. Didn't submit. Shit.
Yeah, I imagine that'd be pretty brutal.
Yeah, but yeah, I just played for all the modes, and after a while I played, I think, like 5k play count on standard, and after that I got bored, changed to Tycho, then to CtB, and Mania didn't exist back then, so I just stuck with CtB because I got better at it quite quickly.
Now, what about you, Zach? If I'm not mistaken, you actually have a pretty decent setup. So, what's got you on the CtB hype train?
I don't know. Like, I did kind of cover this in my own interview, but I did originally join for Taiko, and then I just ended up playing Catch the Beat eventually, and just enjoyed that more.
All right. Yeah, I know you did answer that previously, but I kind of wanted to get it here because this time we're going to have a decent recording. Oh wait, wrong person. Oh man, I'm being silly. My bad. Anyways, though, so one of the other things I want to talk about with Catch the Beat is now the catcher has been changed, and we've talked about this during the World Cup. We've talked about it to a few CtB specific interviews, and we've got mixed opinions on it. Some people like it, some people don't. But one of the things that I do want to ask everybody here is if any of you like make skins or were interested in skins, would you use the animations that we plan to make when creating a skin, or would you keep the image static?
I would probably just test it out how it really works, and like if it's getting me to lose my attention towards the fruits and all the movement whatsoever, then I'm probably gonna stay with like the static images. But I don't know if it's well done, and if it doesn't annoy me, then I'm probably gonna change to that.
Yeah, probably the same here. I'm like a big Nintendo nerd as well, so I'd probably be making a whole bunch of animated Nintendo things for the catchers, so I think that would probably work pretty well, but test first, judge later.
Actually, what I'm going to go ahead and do here is, while you guys are talking, I'm actually getting a sample set up for you guys, so you can take a look at it. We'll actually post it on the video as well, so people can see what some of the animation looks like. Now, this is just a sample for movement. I think I might have posted this before, but we'll go ahead and let you guys see that real quick. So just while I'm grabbing that, feel free to continue to explain what you might do with the animation if you had the ability to mess with it right now.
I'd probably do the same thing as what Kevin said, as in like test it, and then if it distracts me, then I would leave it off. But if it didn't distract me, then I'd probably leave it on. Or if, like, for example, it could cause my computer to go slightly slower, so I might not use it for that reason.
Yeah.
I would more than likely keep using my same catcher just because it's what I'm used to.
I feel like that sums up a lot of the CtB community. They get used to having one catcher, and then they kind of seem reluctant to change. Like the exact same thing happened when we went from Aruda to Yuzu.
Yeah, I got really annoyed at the default catcher after a while, so I ended up like messing around with like skins and everything, and I made something that works for me. So.
Yes, I've seen this already.
Yeah, of course you've seen it.
I wasn't sure if this is the new one or not.
The new one is ready to actually be added to the game, except for the fact that we made an itty-bitty mistake and we're kind of missing the Kai time variants.
Oh dear.
GG.
But as you can see, it doesn't. I don't think it looks that distracting, to be honest.
No, like I think the problem for me would be how's the plate gonna be staying above his head? Like if he moves to the right, then I probably shift my eyes to the right while the plate is still static in the middle of his animation.
Well, see, the plate isn't going to be as static, but this is something that I hope for to receive a toggle. My idea here is to actually have the plate bounce when a fruit is actually caught on it, so you have more visual representation that you've actually caught the fruit.
That would sound like really distracting because like every single time you catch fruit, like what if you have one of those maps that fruit's coming like every 40 milliseconds and you're just like
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's something that I would probably leave. If given the ability to, I'd probably have the animation have a toggle for people that don't want it. Like I've tested it a little bit, like with just the plate moving, and it's not really as distracting as you'd think. In fact, it actually helps me a little bit more, because when you catch fruits on the edge of your plate, sometimes you don't know, well, at least me, I'm more new to it than half you guys, obviously, but when you catch a fruit on the end of the plate, the light isn't really enough of an indication for me that I caught it. So sometimes I don't know if it's actually there or not. And
I just usually watch like the combo count, and if it went up, then I think I caught it and move on usually.
yeah, I
You'd
play
also
with...
hear the combo breakdown if you missed it. So
True. Well, see, CtB might be getting its own hit sound soon as well, which
oh,
will...
geez, really?
Yeah, might.
Oh, I want a splosh sound if you don't have fruits like.
Oh, that's kind of the idea, a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not so much like that. They're more melodious than that. But like the clap would be like a higher pitched squish. The finish would be a lower squish. Stuff like that. If it even happens, But that's something I've kind of looked into as well. But animation for this has been a lot harder than I thought it would be. Thank God for Daru, because he's been helping with the animation. I made the original base. Yeah, I made the original base catcher. And I made the original base catcher, and I made his animation states. Right now, you can still technically make 3 animation states. They can't be actually too heavily animated, but if you know what you're doing, you could have the section fail, so you can see your catcher freak out if they miss a fruit. You have the Kai time, where the catcher can change its emotion to being like super happy because everything's going on, and they're just super happy about catching those fruits. And you also have the critical failure, which didn't get used, which is just like his face drops all the way to the floor, and that's pretty hilarious.
I did not know about the 4th one.
Yeah, the 4th one didn't get used because it just looked too silly. Like his mouth literally is just open and down to the floor, down to his feet, so it cuts through anyways.
Huh. I just knew about Idle, Kai, and Fail. Fail? Yeah, no. Yeah, Fail.
Yeah. Another thing that we have looked into is, as you can see with that animation sample, you notice his feet aren't moving. We did try to make feet moving, but as you know, just the way the catcher's set, it's almost pointless. Like, you see a little bit of hip movement and stuff, like you can tell that he's walking, but it was really pointless. So we just decided to like make him fly. For hyperdashes, you have got to be shitting me!
Nope.
But for like hyperdashes, we kind of expect to have like a Superman thing, so I'll let you guys talk about that real quick.
I was going to say, to me it doesn't seem necessary to have his feet moving in the first place, because a lot of the time you're not going to see his feet anyway. So
yeah, unless you're playing low circle size, you don't really see the legs of the catcher. So
isn't it high?
Circle size what? Like,
yeah, that's what
circle size 2 is dead. No one uses it. Not circle size 2, circle size 8.
Wait, what?
No one uses circle size 8 in CtB. So.
Oh, I do.
You're a monster.
I know.
Well, I technically use 7.8 because I'll play CS6 with Hard Rock.
Yeah, that's fun, man. I like that.
I think the best thing I did was I played this old 2008 map, Agony, and it has like a really tiny AR to start off with, and then when you put Hard Rock on, everything is like really tiny. And when you play on CtB,
I'm gonna be honest. The most I can do is AR8 DT. Anything past that, you can just forget about it.
We are talking about CS, though. Yeah, but like, the thing that's that I'm still trying the most is like getting a first place from XCOM with like CS 7.8 with Hard Rock hidden double time, and it's really difficult. But I'm always so close.
like recently, I've been trying to get back into like doing circle size 9.1 because I used to do it quite a lot, but I kind of stopped recently. But it's annoying because there's so few maps that actually are circle size 7 in the first place, because circle size 9.1 is circle size 7 with Hard Rock. And then, like, there's no CtB maps with circle size that high, which is annoying. So I'm hoping to actually map some, but yeah.
How do you people play on such low circle size? I find it like impossibly hard.
That's the fun about it, man.
It takes a lot of practice, but you can get used to it.
Like, I kind of feel that using CS4 and pretty much everything gets stagnant and just boring after a while. I'm like, eh. Like, there's more to difficulty than just having the fruit being super fast or whatsoever. We have accuracy for a reason, not like that everybody just assesses everything.
Very true, very true. One of the things I've noticed though, with circle size, the smaller you get, the more view of the catcher you receive. So, if you did use like the tiniest circle size, you would definitely see Yuzu just floating around there.
I think it's about after 7 or 8. I think it's around there where you see the full catcher.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut out
To be
for a
honest,
sec.
like, if you were playing like that low circle size, the catcher wouldn't actually be touching the bottom of the screen, so it would actually make more sense for him to be floating.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, so like the moving feet's kind of redundant in a way.
All right, so now the thing I want to get to with this is probably going to be the bulk of the discussion until we let other people ask questions. The editor, and we've talked a lot about this. We've talked about do we need one? Is it really needed? And all kinds of other stuff. Some people really say that it's the way we need to go forward. An editor must be added. It's its own mode. It should have its own editor. But then things like, why doesn't Taiko have an editor come up? And then you get all these different mixed opinions on whether it's right or wrong. And I kind of want to talk with you guys and get each one of your guys' personal opinions on that. So we'll go down the list, starting with Magic Bomb, and then King Kevin, Saki, and then Zach, because it does look like Yuki stepped out for just a moment. So take that away, Magic Bomb.
Well, to me, it doesn't really seem necessary to have a CtB map editor because, to me, our current editor works fine. Like, I mean, I know I've been mapping for like 6 months now, but just by looking at the editor, I can read and see what's going to happen and like how stuff's gonna flow. And all you really need to do is, like, you just got to learn how it plays. And even if you can't learn how it plays, then testing your map is always good anyway. So, like, if it makes you test more, then you can test whether it flows well a lot more.
All right. And I agree with you there. Testing is something that people should do more. Like, I've seen some valid arguments in, like, should CtB get an editor? Or, you know, is it needed? And we've seen people that have explained, showed proof of concepts for editors, stuff like that. But really, in all honesty, testing is something you can do to find out what's going on. And I know people don't like to go over and test, but really, when making a map, you should test like after at least every 2 or 3 combos, just to see if your flow and connection to the previous patterns are right.
I'd also just like to say that if like they did introduce a new editor, I would also prefer for that to be an option to just use the old one, because, well, there are mappers that have gotten used to it, so it would make more sense.
Indeed. All right, King Kevin, what do you think about this?
Yes, since I'm pretty much a beginner mapper, I always thought that the CtB editor would be quite nice for me, at least, because Magic Bomb just said that you adapt to how it really converts if you put a slide on the screen and see the movements afterwards in a test play. And I don't know, I could never adapt to like have a vision and think about it like, oh yeah, that's it's gonna look like that and that and that and whatsoever. And I don't know, it seems to make it a lot quite easier for people to start learning CtB faster. So I would probably support an addition.
Yeah, I could see that. Like a few things, like I think the basic editor as it is now, it's just like a few additions might be something we see instead of seeing a full-fledged editor. Like, for example, spinners showing where the start and end would be. I know it's randomized, but once it's set, it's kind of there. It can't be randomized any more than that.
Well,
Yes.
Well, to say it's random, it's not really that random. Like there are specific patterns of the spinner itself. So after a while, you tried all of them out.
Yeah. Once you've gotten a basic idea for what patterns are going to show up, but for someone starting out, it'll seem like it's more random than it is. But how many exactly patterns are there for spinners?
I think 7 or 8. I don't know really.
That's something I'll definitely have to check out. All right. And Asaki, what do you feel about a CtB editor?
I'm a beginner mapper as well. I do agree with Magic Song. Yeah, it would be kind of beneficial, but I'm at the point where if I put something on the editor as it now, I can see movement. I agree that it would be nice, but at the same time, I kind of like the editor as it is now.
Yeah, and some people have suggested just like I said earlier before we started the talk, just setting a grid that would lock it into place where the catcher's catch zone was. That way, players wouldn't have to worry about what's going on. You could just take that grid and lock it down where the notes would hit, and that might give you a better understanding because there is no timing judgment window when in the editor. You still have to use the approach circles to know when the judgment's going to hit, which is fine, but locking that into a position where you can only go from right to left with it would be perfect for editing purposes. And it wouldn't require an entire rework of the editor. It would just be a simple grid lock option you can pick.
I'd just like to add something that I should have mentioned when I was talking, but I forgot. The main thing that I would want to see added to the editor would just be something like, I was talking about this before the show as well, but like something to indicate when it would be a hyperdash.
Yeah.
Because obviously when you're... there's a way of finding out whether something will hyper, but sometimes like with different distance snaps it can be increased very slightly, so...
Managing droplet position. See, that's actually something one of our listeners is talking about. That's something that I think would actually be kind of useful. I don't know how that would mess with stuff, though, because obviously droplets are kind of pre-rendered sets to the slider. So I don't know if being able to manage those positions would be a good idea, in all honesty. I know sometimes when playing Catch the Beat maps, you'll feel like the transition from moving through a slider isn't as smooth as it could be, but I think that kind of is part to do with how Catch the Beat is played and movement is handled in the game. If I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I do believe that those are all kind of locked in place as they are. Once the slider is created, the slider ticks will form an arc for the droplet, and if you curve the slider, you'll have a closer return to the droplet versus if it was just a straight out slider. That'll be a further movement area, if I'm not mistaken. I myself haven't actually mapped for CtB specifically, but with my standard maps, when I very first started mapping out, a lot of the beginning Catch the Beat players said that my converts were actually really well made for Catch the Beat, and I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but I went ahead and looked at what they were liking and why they liked it, and I tried to incorporate that into my standard mapping. That way Catch the Beat players would have something to enjoy, even though it wasn't made for their game mode specifically.
Yeah, like you can actually, like you said, curve the slider, but like it's not the most, like even when you do that, sometimes it won't go exactly how you want it. So yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable. All right, so Yuki Kazuto, what do you think about the need for an editor, or do you feel that the basic editor is decent enough as is?
I believe the basic editor is pretty decent. I mean, like you said before, like a grid snap for that would be like nice, but I don't think it's necessary either. Like, I'm pretty sure the basic editor is okay for now.
Yeah, And I mean, with things going into the editor, I know a lot of people say, well, why does Mania get an editor? And it's really simplistic with that. And Mania, the convert process for Mania, I still don't understand it to this day. I have no idea how he managed to get standard maps to convert. They're not the best converts, but they still convert. And I know it has something to do with like position, and it kind of splits the screen up into lanes, if I'm not mistaken, but I still don't understand how it knows like when to add doubles. I think that might be hit sound cues. I'm not even sure.
I think that might just be like random intervals, possibly.
Yeah, I actually wondered for a while how like maps converted into Mania, because like with Tycho and CtB, like you can kind of make it convert. Like if you wanted to make it convert well, it's possible to make stuff that wouldn't convert well convert slightly better. But with Mania, I don't even know how it works. So
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it like back in the past when Tycho was still not a mode on itself that some standard mappers just mapped Tycho-specific maps in standard mode?
Those were actually called Taikosu maps.
Oh.
And what that had done is you had mappers that wanted to make standard maps, but they also wanted to make Taiko maps. One of the biggest people that used the Taikosu format was Aryan666, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And now
I think he changed his name though.
yeah, I do believe he did at some point, but that's how I remember it. Now, Taikosu converts, like, they kind of were boring in standard, but they made really well Taiko maps, so it was kind of okay and accepted there for a while. And with Taiko, you know, all you really had to do when making your map is just make sure that your slider velocity was a specific speed. And once you figured that out, then all you had to really do was hit sound modifications. The only problem
the
to
entire
this...
idea with the Taiko maps was at that point you couldn't actually have rankable Taiko map sets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the main things, though, is 1.6 or 1.4 are the only SVs that are really accepted in Taiko. So if your map was something that you wanted to, like, you know, convert energy or express that there was a lot of energy, or you wanted to speed up, you really couldn't do that because it would kind of break the crap out of the Taiko mode. And that kind of got a little bit messy for some. But converts with Catch the Beat have always, in my opinion, seemed a lot more easy, and they seamlessly convert. Even a standard map that shouldn't make sense on CtB, for a beginner, usually makes loads of sense.
It's true.
yeah, in my opinion, Catch the Beat, like standard converts to Catch the Beat a lot better than it converts the other modes for obvious reasons. Unless like you were actually trying to use your hit sounds to make it for a Taiko map. But yeah.
Yeah, I even have a kind of preference to play only converts because as specifics are recreated for CtB, it always has that kind of calculated feel to it, where I'm like, if I'm gonna miss that jump, then I'm gonna instantly die, and I kind of lose my fun in that. So I don't know if a convert is giving me some random movement that I can work with. It's quite enjoyable instead of following the calculated movement of a specific.
Yeah.
Go
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Starting off, Catch the Beat actually always played converts, and to this day I still play it. I prefer converts over the Catch the Beat specific maps because, like, some of the patterns there are really off the wall. So when I'm playing converts, I feel like I learned something new.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've played some I've played some standalones, and I am just really terrible at them. And I feel like I'm not even going to be able to get close to being able to attempt like specifically made for that mode till I've played around with converts for quite a long time, and I get the true feeling for what I can and can't do as the catcher.
Yeah, I really can't play specifics at all. I have to pretty much only play converts unless I want to fail about 1,000 times.
And like, even with the CtB specifics, I think even the distribution between the difficulties is really freaking high compared to other modes. Like, Taiko already has insane map sets, but CtB is always around like 3 or 4 stars, and it's just so annoying that you don't have really lower difficulty specific maps to really learn something from. Like, we have a bunch, but I don't know, it still feels like we don't have enough yet.
Yeah, and this might actually be good for those listening in that are CtB mappers and inspiring. It looks like one of the general consensuses we have here is that the difficulty jump from converts to standalones is a little bit high. So I know a lot of people when mapping, and I've even done it myself, like to go like balls to the wall and just make it incredibly hard. And while that's fun for some, you do have to remember that like CtB is a growing fan base. It's like it has a lot of players, don't get me wrong, but it's still one of the less represented fan bases in the community. And to grow it, I think the entry level needs to be a bit more open.
I'd just like to point out, like, I just put a graph in the chat, but like in Catch the Beat, the actual, like, the majority of difficulties are like around the 4-star level. Like, that's the most popular star level for ranked Catch the Beat difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you find this?
That's on also Reddit. Someone made data analyzation of some stuff, which was really interesting. You probably should look into it. It's quite cool.
All right. Well, actually, we seem to be getting a few more questions from the community, and now is as good a time as ever. We're going to go ahead and open that up.
Can I quickly throw something in about the
feel free,
editor thing? I feel like a lot of the issues were kind of like pointed out where there's not really much you can do with a CtB editor since the game mode itself converts really well. But I feel like you probably could still add a very basic editor just outlining most of the key functions.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be super flashy like the Mania one, but just something really simple and basic that's really easy to use. Like, even if it's just changing the hit circles to actual fruits.
What I'd like to say about it is, one thing it would cut down on is the need to playtest every single thing you do, because then you can just, like, if there's an option to toggle between 2 versions of the editor, then you can also see exactly how it's going to play without actually having to playtest it. You just have to hit, like, a simple key to toggle it back and forth.
Yeah, I could see where that would be useful.
Yeah,
There are things you can't do with the editor, it's just you don't need to do a huge amount.
It also lets you see what will and won't be in a hyper without hitting F5 in order to test and having to save. Because, you know, sometimes if you have to save it and then suddenly something's messed up, then you have to go back and fix it instead of just hitting undo.
Yeah. And one thing, like, if you left the hit circles as hit circles, but you allowed, say, for example, the sliders to be represented as their actual game icons, and maybe the spinners to be represented as actual game icons, and like Magic Bomb was saying earlier, if you had something that would like just highlight the note, because everybody knows that you have hit circle highlight.png, and if you click on something, it's usually like a blue glow. Well, say for example, you just make, if we added the extension where it's like hyperdash.png, and if the circle was far enough, you just see that glow, that highlight glow underneath that specific circle, so you'd know that jump is a hyper jump. That would be something simplistic that would be easy to add that would probably help out with the CtB mapping scene.
Hang on a minute. When we were doing one of the Osnix discussions, I think we were talking about the blue circle around notes and how that's the snap area. Couldn't that sort of be extended to help with determining if a fruit is a hyperdash or not?
I would assume so, yeah.
That'd be kind of cool if that actually happened.
Yeah. All right then, guys. We're going to go ahead and open this up for community questions. We'll use the last about 15 20 minutes of our episode to answer anything that the community might have. If you have a question, feel free to just send me a private message if you would like to speak your question. And if you don't want to ask your question with voice, just ask it right down there in the live room, and any one of us will go ahead and answer it. Well, actually, I'd probably like to keep it to our CtB enthusiasts and experts here. So definitely throw those questions at them. So feel free if you have any questions.
Yeah, we've got about 25 minutes left, so.
Okay. And you guys go ahead and answer those questions at your leisure.
How to get good practice.
Yeah. Oh man.
That seems to be like the universal answer. Like, doesn't matter what game mode, it's everyone just say play it more or practice.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
The key to this whole game is patience.
One of the things that you might also know when starting out is, unlike the other game modes, I really don't see any kind of improvement from changing the play zone or the play size. So CtB is one of those few games that you can play full screen and it's not gonna change your aim or anything like that, as like, you know, with standard, if for example you go in there and you make your window 720p and it's windowed mode, you're gonna have a little bit easier time getting to each one of the circles. They're gonna be a little bit smaller than you're used to, but it's still gonna be something that makes it a little bit easier to get around and move. While as Catch the Beat, that's literally going to get you nothing.
Wait, you mean like playing in full screen or window mode or whatsoever?
Yeah, CtB shouldn't change with windowed or full screen.
Actually, for me, it does, because I personally cannot play windowed at all.
Same here.
I play windowed all the time.
I don't know, it feels like a kind of input lag if I change to windowed mode. Because, like,
Yeah.
the distance the catcher travels is just way shorter, and I'm like, wait, that isn't right.
That's weird.
Strange.
It should be relative.
Yeah, it should be relative.
Yeah,
It's mostly a personal preference thing, but honestly, changing your window size will just make the game feel so different, just because everything will be a different size.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I
at
feel
one
like that's
point,
on a like a more personal preference level, not so much a mechanic level.
yeah,
Yeah.
like when I at one point I was playing on a widescreen and like I just couldn't really I couldn't read low AR at all because it just felt like it was falling so slowly and the catch was moving so fast.
I started off with a full screen and then I switched to windowed, and it felt right to me. So that was just my preference. It took a while for me to get used to, but down the line I learned to love windowed more than full screen.
Yeah. And as for just while we're waiting for questions and stuff, I totally forgot what I was gonna say. That's great. Anyways,
Well played.
always. So while we're waiting here for questions, I guess I'll just kind of bring up a few other things. What is some of your guys' favorite CtB maps? Like specific CtB maps?
Ooh.
Oh man.
I
a
just
hard
put
choice.
everybody on the spot, didn't I?
Personally, my favourite maps are there's Zeno. The overdose for that is like amazing. Like when that map got disqualified, I relooked at it just because there was like one thing which I found which I didn't think was perfect, and like that was literally all I would ever have changed of that map.
I would have changed the HP drain.
Oh wow.
Disgusting.
But
I never got why people scale HP to difficulty. Like, if it gets more difficult, then you probably should make it easier for people to get through it.
I understand scaling HP up, but then at a certain point you should stop going higher and higher, just because a single screw up can instantly kill you at that point.
yeah, I don't think like in Catch the Beat maps, HP drain past 7 should ever be used, just because that's far too high.
Insta-kill.
Yeah, like it is basically insta kill once you get to HP 8.
I
Yeah.
feel like HP8 was like a good level.
I don't know. I like HP7 for really difficult maps. If the map's going to be really hard and there's chances you're going to miss quite a bit, I usually put it at 7.
No,
Yeah,
like,
it depends a lot on how the map plays as well.
like if I start mapping, I'm gonna literally do HP 0 for everything. Like there are only 4 maps with HP 0 or 7. That's so sad.
I actually, not strictly CTV related, sorry, but I actually remember a friend of mine made a map, and he made I think it was like everything to 0, all the difficulties in 0, as a joke. It was so funny.
Isn't there also a ranked map with HP 0, R 0, CS 0 whatsoever?
I think there is actually one. I can't remember what it's called though.
Wait, let me
Seriously?
look it up.
Oh no, we
Someone
lost
actually
Saki.
managed to do that.
Saki
So
is
in the
flooded.
meantime, my favorite maps personally were the one OK Rock AMVs because those just translated so well into maps in my opinion.
Ooh. Well, Tokafi actually has, or I probably just screwed that name up, but he actually has a really good question that you guys can discuss on here. They ask, do you think the catch the beat performance points should be changed? Because he says you can notice quite a bit of people farming CTB specific maps that have jumps, and to be honest, most of the CT maps, in his opinion, feel like they need to be nerfed. What would you guys say to that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Like there are
Yeah.
some major issues regarding the PP in CtB. Like when it comes to high difficulty maps, then it's quite good. But like in comparison to other kinds of difficulties and how it's calculated, it just seems weird. God damn it.
I personally, to answer the question Tengs just said, I think halftime gives far too much PP. I actually used to farm that quite a lot back when I did actually care about PP. I don't really anymore since I got into mapping. But yeah.
And I pretty much found out that if you're using easy double time with some specific maps, you can farm a bunch of PP out of it. Man, what's wrong with me, man? My English.
You can't defeat airmen.
And I can't defeat English.
Oh man.
My opinion on the current PP system is I do honestly believe it's better than any system we've had so far, but at the same time, it's still very far from perfect, and I honestly don't know if there can ever be a very accurate system for Catch the Beat in general.
Yeah,
I feel like
think,
it's not just CTB, like,
I
in
think
regards
maybe
to, like, getting
if the
perfect.
community maybe grew enough to where we would have a very large abundance of Catch the Beat maps like there is with Tycho, then there wouldn't just be only a handful of really hard maps that give lots of PP, and there would just be too many of them for there only to be a handful of ones that everyone will play. So then PP would probably be more evenly spread out across all players.
but
Okay.
in my
So-
opinion,
Sorry, Magic Bomb. I have one thing to point on the catch the beat because everybody's saying that they feel it gives too much. Well, as you know, performance points are kind of broken down for each mode. Like OS is aim times speed times accuracy, Tycho's strain times accuracy, and catch the beat is only aim. Now, one thing I thought about is what if they put into consideration, and I don't know how well this would work in terms of like giving performance points, but say you get a double S, yeah, that's fine and dandy. But what if you took into the account how close to the center you were able to catch a fruit? Do you think that would differentiate between the people that are just barely getting by and the people that are masterfully catching all these fruits in the perfect areas?
nah, I think that
I-
it's without like taking that into account is fine, because there are some times when it's purposeful that you're supposed to catch a fruit like at the edge and stuff.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, even as someone who doesn't play Catch the Beat a lot of the time during maps you are actually like trying to just catch the fruit. It's not exactly something you want to be trying to hit on.
Well,
What
like
I would possibly like is possibly something to take into account how hard it is for people to assess the map, like, because there are honestly a lot of maps and even plenty of catch the beat specific maps that are very hard to get really good accuracy on. And then while getting more droplets does also give you more PP, I think on maps that are exceptionally difficult to get the high accuracy on, that I think those droplets should give a bigger bonus than usual, maybe.
Yeah. I might have said that a little bit wrong. I wasn't so much speaking as it would actually affect your overall score. Like, even if you catch it on the rim, you're still going to get, the 100%. If you catch every fruit, you're getting an SS, But at the same time, you know how they have the unstable rate, for standard. While you could still get a double S, you'll still have a really different unstable rate compared to someone who's, like, really doing it well. And I was thinking maybe some kind of judgment in that type of manner.
See, I thought that's where you're coming from, but I honestly don't know if that changes anything.
I think there actually is an unstable rate in the catch the beat results screen. I just don't think it's actually accurate for anything.
Yeah, like even
I still have no
auto-
idea how half that stuff is calculated.
Yeah, like even auto doesn't get like perfect unstable rate and stuff, so in my opinion it doesn't really make much sense.
And also like if you hit a fruit on the edge and jump over, like since you're on the corner of the fruit, the distance you have to travel is way too far to hit the next fruit, so you already fucked up if you don't hit the fruit correctly. Like some high difficulty maps are really so accurate that you have to be in the center of the fruit, then jump, and again and again and again and whatsoever. Like if you're just, I don't know, 20 pixels off, or I don't know how big the pixels are.
Yeah,
like,
Zach, that's what I was talking about. It wouldn't actually affect score. It would just be a possible bonus rather than a loss.
Like I don't even get
You can do it again.
in the sense of a bonus. Like there isn't really anything you do different to be more accurate about it. You catch a fruit and it's done.
Yeah, but depending on the zone that you catch it in would consider it. Because, I mean, I've seen some players that catch stuff on the rim all the time, and then I see other players that try their damnedest to get it centered. I mean, obviously there's certain parts where you can't, but one of the things we learned with the hyper jump is there is some stuff with CtB that even you can't, like, understand that it's going to be possible till you actually play it. A lot of the maps before hyper dashes were introduced, people were somehow managing to full combo these things with just ungodly amounts of determination, is what I chalk it up to.
And there
I
were
actually
also
managed
some
to
tricks.
do that once, I think. There was one map, I think it was Andrea's map, I failed. There's a hyperdash in there. Before the hyperdashes were actually implemented, you could actually full combo it. But it was super hard to do.
But I'd just like to, just going back to earlier, like, I think accuracy, specifically on high circle size maps, like, for example, with maps that, like, with Hard Rock go to circle size 10, I don't think droplets should be, like, so important there. Like, literally, you could, that would be, like, an amazing play to be able to FC a circle size 10 map, but you wouldn't get any, like, reward for it because of your accuracy.
Yeah. Like that's also a general thing for me, that since we already have a kind of quite accurate system for how our own general difficulty from jumping is calculated, like CS also has its own kind of difficulty to it. And
Well,
if you're playing CS 7.8 with a bunch of mods, and it's still only start difficulty 3 while you almost kill yourself playing it.
Well, see, the thing is like, the only reason why I bring it up is because Catch the Beat's the only game mode that has a performance points calculation metric of 1. Everything else has some kind of other factor, and I'm just trying to brainstorm what would be a possible factor that you can use to also judge. But as you guys have said, I really don't know if there's any possible way you can. We do actually have another question from Tofuki, or Tokufi, I guess, and that is, should the DT score multiplier in CtB be worth more than the Hard Rock mod? Because during the beginning of OS, most of the hard maps had very high CS, making Hard Rock reasonable to give a higher multiplier. However, nowadays, the basic standard is CS4, and that kind of makes Hard Rock a little
But
bit
you have
easier.
to
I think that would be reasonable, to be quite honest.
I don't
Yeah.
know, only because it's the mapping meta right now, it shouldn't really affect how stuff is calculated, in my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion, we do actually, rather than making the system adjust to the mapping style, we should actually have more variety in the mapping styles themselves.
Yeah, like since the only thing that people are using is CS4, AR9, and I don't know, that just gets boring. I love a bunch of variation in all the different combinations you can do, and there is a bunch of stuff no one ever tried. Especially since we have the freaking decimal AR and CS and stuff. So yeah.
Some of the reasons to not try certain things, though, is just because of how hard it would be to make it something that is both interesting and good. Because interesting maps, that you can find those everywhere, but then they're also not necessarily good or something that should be ranked either.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like playing CS8, AR9 or whatever. Like that would just be crazy. But like some general mix-up in how you could design stuff. Like even CS5 is not used anymore for AR7, AR8. That works perfectly fine, but nobody uses it.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out something quickly. As far as I know, I might be wrong on this, but the highest circle size on a ranked CtB map is circle size 5. There's none higher than that, which I think circle size 6 is perfectly readable, at least to me. So I don't really see why it's not used.
I've seen
more
a few CS6 ranked before. I think I have a few in my database. I'm not quite sure. I'll check.
Yeah, there are hundreds of those, but from the
Yeah.
old days. Nobody maps them nowadays with CS6.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
but I
talking
meant,
about
like-
CtB specific maps.
Yeah.
Like,
I've never seen any specific CtB maps that are circle size 6, apart from my own.
Neither have I.
hey, you could have tried with your own, man.
Yeah, I tried some, but
No, I also meant Zach.
oh.
Like,
What, making my own maps? CS6?
yes.
Well, I just had different goals for my own maps, and I honestly haven't made that many maps either.
Yeah, you could probably finish that Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann map.
Okay.
It's already a full map set.
Oh,
So real quick, we're going to go ahead and get to this last point of discussion from the community. Wijek asks, some CtB players, especially old ones, complain for the current hyperdash mechanic. Do you feel they have a reason?
we already had that talk, but I think it's still interesting to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
From what I can tell, we have had this discussion quite a lot, and
Yeah.
I think the outcome was the fact that it changed the way the game was played, and a
Mhm.
lot of people had to relearn how to play, and that's what caused a lot of the upset.
Yeah, but one question is do you feel like, this is just for me coming off that, because we have talked about that a lot, do you feel that they should play around with the hyperdash mechanic to try to find a better common ground, or do you think it's fine where it is as now?
I think it's possible for them to do that, but I think where we are now is perfectly fine.
Yeah, like, I think a lot of the issues with hyperdash have been fixed. Like, there was a lot of dispute, I guess you could say, over the whole thing a while ago, but I haven't really heard that much of it now. And I feel like there's not much point in messing around with it if people are happy with it.
Yeah, someone put out something actually that was it had the old style of hyperdashes, and I've actually tried playing with it, but to me it just seems so weird to play compared to what we have now.
yeah, but there still was the argument to combine the best assets of both kinds of styles and just use that, because the biggest visible difference in how you could play stuff with hypers was probably the Tech 4 map. Back in the old system, you could I don't know which Tech 4 it was right now, but there was the one Tech 4 where you jump from corner to corner to corner to corner again and again. And in the old hyperdash system, you could, if you're good, get all the fruits in a row. And in the new hyperdash system, it is mathematically possible, but no one really can get it anymore. Like, that's impossible.
One thing I kind of want to bring up real fast is, with hyperdash mechanics and everything, that's one way to play. But something I've kind of wanted to do for a while is, Catch the Beat's really popular in terms of, like, people playing it. Like, it's not as little as a game mode as you might think. Its community might not be as big, but the amount of people that play it is nuts. But one thing I've always wondered is I play another catching game that I play a lot more than I do CtB because I enjoy it a lot more, and it gives me a reason to use my trackball, which is really fun, and that's Easy to Catch. And this game is basically like CtB, but you have to have a trackball controller for it, mind you.
Like a medicine trackball?
Like a medicine trackball, like the circle one that you just spin, you know?
Oh.
And, yeah, and you say but it's like one of the funnest games I've ever played, and I'm way better at that than I am at CtB.
I actually like the trackball mouses. Those are fun to use.
Actually, isn't that what Catch the Beat was based on?
I don't believe so. I think Catch the Beat was based on a mini game from... Oh, I have the information somewhere.
Beatmania,
It was...
whatsoever.
No, I think it was based on a game from the Czech Republic.
But but anyways, I mean, Easy to Catch's premise was, you didn't really have a hyperdash. Your speed was based on how fast you move the trackball, and I think something like that would be a neat addition to Catch the Beat as its own little mod for fun. I'm not saying put a score metric to it. I'm not saying give it something like that, but I mean, you could kind of get the same. You can kind of get the same effect with using relax in a trackball, but see, I like the idea of being able to catch two fruits at once, and that's something you can only do on Easy to Catch or on Catch the Beat here with a trackball. On relax, you can catch two fruit falling at the same time.
You can do that in a normal game too if you place them right beside each other.
Yeah, but I mean, you can literally catch two fruits that are kind of far apart, because like when you roll the wheel over there to get there, then you just, like, right when you catch the first one, you just slam that wheel as fast as you can and you'll catch the other one, because it's twice as fast as a hyperdash. It's just a lot harder to control. But that's something I've always kind of wanted to see as well. And now Tokafi also asked about difficulty scaling from droplet to overdose. I think we've kind of talked about that, as it's still a little bit harder as there's specific maps than what you see in a convert. And we are kind of getting close here to the wrap up, so if anybody has any more questions, feel free to go over those real quick.
I'd just like, with relax, like, I know a lot of people actually like find it, well, the majority of people who've played Catch the Beat for a while find relax impossible compared to normal playing. I just like want to hear what other people think about relax, so yeah.
And actually, to chain on that.
It hurts my hand.
I like relax.
Yeah, but to chain on that, I want to ask all of you something. What would you think if relax became an actual ranked mod?
I would really
I
play
would
Catch the
disagree with
Beat,
that.
because I would be really good at it. I
disagree with this, because I feel like one of the difficulties from Catch the Beat comes from the fact that the catcher has a limited speed. By using the mouse to have whatever sort of scroll speed you want, kind of, to me, takes away a lot of the difficulty.
But I could play Rainbow Dash Likes Girls and get an S
The main
rank on
reason
it.
people
No, I mean like a
play
decreaser
relax is
mod.
because they don't play relax,
Yeah.
pretty much.
But I get what he's saying. He's wanting it to like have a decreased score value, like 0.20, 0.50, something like that.
Well,
If it had a
then the standard players could take over and
Yeah,
like, get all
exactly.
the bricks.
Like, cause we could go in there and put the 0.50 on there for the relax, and then we just go and slap double time, hard rock, and hidden on it, and we'd be able to do it. The movement is not hard in relax. It really isn't, especially if you play a whole lot of standard. You can destroy
Actually,
CtB
I know
maps.
some standard players who have tried playing Relax on Catch the Beat, and they actually found it rather difficult, even though they didn't think it would be at first.
You have to delete your cursor or it'll mess with you. Delete your cursor and you're golden. Because I noticed my eyes will always go to my cursor no matter where it's at. And when playing Relax, you kind of notice that your cursor just kind of keeps on scrolling up and up and up and up. And then you're looking down at the catcher and then you realize, oh man, I'm not looking where I should be looking. My eyes have averted from the main actual scoring place, and then you miss. And that makes everybody sad.
Yeah, but I think that would be way too much of a major change, and like everybody would.
Wait, hold on. How do you get it to go away?
Huh? Wait, what?
True Noodle said that they can literally make the cursor disappear when playing CtB on Relax.
I think the cursor
mine just
disappears
go away.
in special game modes that don't actually use the cursor. I think it fades away during gameplay.
Mine never does. It's always there.
Mine just disappears and it's gone.
Man.
I just tested it out, and it did not go away for me.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And it's gone.
Depends.
Further testing is required.
Tangs, I totally got that. And it's gone.
Maybe we'll bring this up to the development team or something.
Most definitely. Alright guys, so
Because
it
it's
does,
just me.
yeah, it does look like we've actually hit our time cap for today. I do appreciate everybody coming out, and thank you guys so much for taking part, and thank you for having some questions for us as well. This will be up in a few days on the YouTube, so be sure to look for it. And remember, Rhythm's only a click away, and we'll see y'all real soon.
Users should explode when you fail.
Dum dum dum. Ah, it's so nice to have talk power. I feel so mighty.